All right, let's take you to the UN now, where Chief António Guterres is giving a press conference.
Racing ahead without guardrails, inequality is widening by the hour, and international cooperation is straining under pressures unseen in our lifetimes. But next week, every country will be here, including nearly 150 heads of state and government. And this is an opportunity we cannot miss. 1 week offers every possibility for dialogue and mediation, every opportunity for forging solutions. Thousands of leaders' meetings will take place, and I will hold over 150 bilateral meetings myself, and I will use every one of them to press leaders, to contact each other, to speak directly with each other, to bridge divides, to reduce risks, to find solutions, to get serious. People are demanding answers and action, actions that match the gravity of the challenges our world faces, actions that meet the expectations of all those on the outside looking in. Let this be a week of solutions for peace in Gaza, Ukraine, Sudan, and beyond, and for a pathway for a just, lasting peace in the Middle East based on a two-state solution. For climate, with countries stepping up with ambitious new national climate action plans that keep 1.5 degree limit alive. For responsible innovation, as we launch the global dialogue on AI governance to put humanity at the center of technological change with every country at the table. For women and girls, with concrete plans for equality as we mark the 30th anniversary of the landmark Beijing Conference. For financing development, at the first of its kind biennial summit, bringing together leaders of international financial institutions and heads of state, and focused on implementing commitments on financing the Sustainable Development Goals. For a stronger, united nations, by backing our UN80 initiative to equip the UN for a world that no longer looks like 1945 or even last year. The list is long because the needs are great. Our times demand more than posturing and promises. They demand that leaders make progress and follow through. To honor the Charter, pursue peace, advance sustainable development, ensure human rights, and confront global challenges together. The United Nations is the place. Next week is the time, and leaders must get serious and deliver. Thank you, and I am at your disposal for any question that eventually you might want to ask.
Let's try with Valeria.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Secretary General, on behalf of UNGA for this press conference. My question is on Gaza. A UN Commission of Inquiry concluded that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza, and the top Israeli official, including Prime Minister Netanyahu, incited these acts. What's your reaction on that? And are you planning to meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu next week or any other senior Israeli officials? And if I may, can, in your opinion, the U.S. role in mediating with Israel and Qatar helping going back to the negotiating table? Thank you so much.
There are many questions at the same time. Well, as I've said time and time again in these and different similar circumstances, it is not in the attributions of the Secretary General to do the legal determination of genocide. That belongs to the adequate judicial entities, namely the International Court of Justice. And let us be aware that at the present moment, the International Court of Justice is dealing with a case whose name is Application of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide in the Gaza Strip. Now, the fact that I have not the competence to do the determination of the legal determination of genocide doesn't mean that I do not consider that what's happening in Gaza after the horrific attacks by Hamas in October 2 years ago what happens in Gaza today is horrendous. We are seeing massive destruction of neighborhoods, now the systematic destruction of Gaza City. We are seeing massive killing of civilians in a way that I do not remember in any conflict since I am Secretary General. And we are seeing dramatic obstacles to the distribution of humanitarian aid. At a certain moment, it completely stopped, with the consequences that the Palestinian people is suffering an horrendous situation with famine, with no access to any kind of health support, and with continued displacement and the imminent risk of losing their lives at any moment. So this is something we cannot forget. Independently of the names that are given, the truth is that this is something that it is morally, politically, and legally intolerable. Now, the second question was about Qatar and the United States. I believe...
You've been listening to a briefing held by the United Nations Secretary General António Guterres, firstly starting with the laying of the ground for next week's United Nations General Assembly Leaders Meeting. One of the first questions, as expected today, is to do with a report released by a commission, a UN commission today, that's found Israel is committing a genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. It found that there are reasonable grounds that 4 of the 5 genocidal acts defined under international law have been carried out since the start of the war with the Palestinian armed group Hamas in October of 2023. Those are the killing of members of a group, causing them serious bodily and mental harm, deliberately inflating or inflicting conditions calculated to destroy the group, and preventing births. So that report out from the UN panel looking at whether Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. The Israelis saying they reject this report, saying it is distorted and false.
And of course, the report there continues then to speak about, the imposition of what it calls inhumane conditions causing the deaths of Palestinians, including the deprivation of food, water and medicines, and also saying that, this is quite concerning given what is currently taking place in Gaza. And when you think about the situation on the ground currently, the Israeli military, right, it has, of course, said that it's struck a military infrastructure site in its latest attack that is on Yemen's Houthi movement at the Red Sea port. And at the same time, you listen to the UN chief there speaking about the fact that while he may not have, the legal ground and the powers and the competence to make a determination, but what is happening in Gaza, he says, is horrendous, and saying that it's morally and legally intolerable.
And we will be speaking to one of the UN commissioners, by the way, within this hour, Chris Sidoti, a little later, to talk more about the findings of that report and ultimately what it means. Will it result in any change on the ground when you consider that South Africa is leading the charge at the International Court of Justice, where they've gone and said that Israel is indeed committing genocide against Palestinians? Israel denies that, but does this report then help South Africa's case at the ICJ?